And how's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest and the greatest gaming news. And get ready, because today I have some huge news for you all. You can go ahead and just totally forget about The Elder Scrolls 6, because there's another game that's going to come out at some point in the future that's going to be similar to The Elder Scrolls. So that totally means that automatically by default, because fuck Bethesda apparently, that this new game is going to be The Elder Scrolls killer, everyone. Because fuck Bethesda. Fuck Fallout because of the Outer Worlds. Fuck the Elder Scrolls because of this new game. Let's just all automatically have a bias because Bethesda did something wrong. Well, meanwhile, we allow Borderlands 3, a totally glitched and technical mess of a game that has the same exact bugs and issues that Randy Pitchfork said that they're focusing specifically on fixing for this game. A game that everyone threw a fit about when it became an Epic Store exclusive, but now all of a sudden we're gonna walk around with this game on a pedestal because, yeah, why not, right? Let's just do it. But hate on everything that Bethesda does ever. Now, obviously, if you haven't picked up on this, if you can't quite detect my sarcasm, I'm joking. I actually like Bethesda. I'm pretty neutral when it comes to all the crap that goes on in the gaming industry. If something's a good thing, I praise it. If it's a bad thing, you know, I say it's a bad thing, but I don't automatically just hold this vendetta against a company because a bug happened that inconvenienced me a few times, or because they made a game, their first multiplayer game ever, or because, whatever, my Nuka-Cola bottle that wasn't even designed by them wasn't exactly how I would have liked it to be, and I'm gonna make 7 videos on that Nuka-Cola bottle now. But anyway, now this seems like I'm making another thing, but that's a totally different subject. We're focusing today, in case you haven't been able to tell already, on this new situation going on within the Elder Scrolls news universe, or miniverse, because there's like no news ever. But this news comes to us from a bunch of websites, but we're gonna focus on this one right here with their awesome Logitech Play to Win ad, apparently, that I'm gonna make nothing off of, but you guys are gonna see anyway. It's forget the Elder Scrolls 6, everyone! Series veterans are making a successor to Daggerfall, which is clickbait. They're not making a successor to Daggerfall. This is in no way gonna be related to Daggerfall, except that it's just gonna be inspired by stuff that they did within Daggerfall. Pretty much the situation is that there's going to be a new studio, Once Lost Games, and this new studio is headed by Julian LeFay. He is more or less considered the father of the Elder Scrolls franchise. A long time ago, he helped create the Elder Scrolls universe way back when Arena was being made, which was the first Elder Scrolls game in the franchise, and he continued with the Elder Scrolls universe until about Oblivion, in which point he then left Bethesda. He's also going to have a couple other Elder Scrolls veterans from way back when, such as Ted Peterson, and a name that I'm probably not going to pronounce correctly, Vijay Lakshman, who is also the lead designer and producer on Arena. So yes, these people do go way back. Julian LeFay does have a hand in pretty much creating the entire universe, writing the lore, setting the tone for the Elder Scrolls franchise in the years to come, and although he hasn't been part of the franchise for a long time, people still kind of consider him as a lost artifact, a missing piece to what a lot of people complain about is missing in the current Elder Scrolls games. And yes, I will nod that there has been a continuing trend with the Elder Scrolls franchise to make it more accessible to people who aren't just main hardcore RPG players. I don't like that. I don't like a few things Bethesda are doing, but to just say to totally forget about the Elder Scrolls 6 because someone who worked on the game like 20 years ago or something is gonna make something similar to the Elder Scrolls is just total clickbait and just adds on to this mob mentality that's currently going on towards Bethesda. Well, meanwhile, we're just gonna, you know, totally allow all of the issues with Borderlands 3 to just not exist. Apparently, this announcement about this new game similar to the Elder Scrolls came from the Once Lost team on Discord, where they said that they're currently in pre-production and seeking financing for this project. The game will have some principal game pillars which the developers say are inspired by classic RPGs. These pillars include a huge dynamic world to explore, rich lore that will be uncovered through NPCs and in-game books, and robust character generation and advancement. So it sounds like an RPG game, and no, according to PCGames, it sounds like specifically the Elder Scrolls, which is the only RPG game to have robust character generation and development, rich lore, and dynamic huge worlds to explore. So if you make an RPG game, you're making something that could possibly kill the Elder Scrolls franchise. That's just stupid. I hate the bias in this article. I'm sorry I'm focusing on the bias in this article more than I'm focusing on the information. I'm just trying to point out how hypocritical these types of articles are. That's specifically why I kind of chose this one. Let's hope PC Games doesn't try to take down this video because their feelings have, been hurt or something silly like that. The Once Lost Studios and Julian Lefay go on to promise that the game will be non-linear and have branching, endless quests which will evolve the world like a great virtual game master running a pen and paper campaign. I guess that was in line with some of the original intentions for Daggerfall, which was true. There's multiple endings with Daggerfall, and they actually had to create the entire Dragon Break dynamic within the Elder Scrolls lore to tie all of those endings and possible different choices together that were possible within Daggerfall to progress over into Morrowind. That way all the lore and everything was still stable for the most part. As stable as it can be when you have to literally break space and time to force all these things together. That's what the Dragon Break is. But yeah, Lefay then goes on to say on Reddit at some point that he would be lying if he said he wasn't interested in doing a Daggerfall sequel. Once Lost Games promises a massive open world fantasy adventure which will boast revolutionary technology and more or less change the dynamic of those types of RPG open world massive games in the future to come. This is a pretty bold statement by Julian Lefay, but the thing is, I don't doubt he can do it. I mean, he created one of the most recognizable names in RPG games, one of the most recognizable franchises and worlds, universes, whatever you want to call it. He had his hand in it, and even though he hasn't been involved in the Elder Scrolls franchise for a long time, he still knows what makes that game good. He still knows the magic of the Elder Scrolls games, and I'm pretty sure whatever this game is can indeed be a pretty big competitor to the Elder Scrolls, but to say that it's going to be the destroyer or something of the Elder Scrolls 6 that you should totally forget about any future Elder Scrolls games because of this game is silly. I will say it's a very good thing that the Elder Scrolls has some direct competition, which is something that's been lacking for a while. Yes, there's been the Witcher games, but those are different. I compare the Witcher more to something like maybe Dragon Age Inquisition, for example, and not just because of the third-person RPG dynamic, but just because of a few other things. But the fact that Julian Lefay and Once Lost Games are saying that they're going to do something very similar to the Elder Scrolls with next-gen technology is very, very exciting. It'd be cool to see what this new game has in terms of its personality, its identity, what makes it stand out when compared to the Elder Scrolls while still somehow maintaining that game feel, that same feeling and vibe that you pick up while you play the Elder Scrolls games. And that's why I'm super excited for this situation. My sarcasm throughout this video hasn't been towards Once Lost Games or Julian Lefay, more so than it has been towards these types of articles and the community just trying to say that any type of news regarding anything is somehow going to be something negative against Bethesda. And I know I'm gonna get people trying to say I'm a Bethesda fanboy or I'm defending Bethesda, but the thing is, I've made entire videos calling out crap that Bethesda has done in the past. But what I won't do is just let this perspective be my new vision into the gaming industry to where I'm just gonna automatically just disavow or get mad at anything Bethesda does. I'm looking at things from a neutral perspective, while keeping in mind of patterns that have been done in the past. Bethesda lately has been on a little bit of a downslope with some things, but the thing is, they made their first massive multiplayer game. There's gonna be issues with that. Should they have waited a bit before they put it out? Yes. Should they have maybe gotten some canvas before they promised all these collector's editions? Yes. There's a few things they should have done, but to just automatically assume that Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be horrible because of these things is pretty ignorant. But what I want to know is, what do you think about all of this? Do you think that Once Lost Games will be able to make a game that actually can directly compete with the Elder Scrolls, or do you think this game will die off as a pipe dream before it even gets funding, or do you think it's gonna turn into like another Star Citizen situation where this game is crowdfunded a lot of money, but it takes forever to make, and 10 years later, we're watching a 2-hour gameplay trailer that is just your main character walking around and picking up glasses and looking at things? Let me know down in the comments below, and if your comment wins the internet, I make it featured in a future video. Be sure to like this video if you enjoy the content, and subscribe and turn notifications on if you want to stay in the know about the latest and the greatest gaming news. Follow me over on Twitter for the latest channel updates and random stuff about me. Come over to the community Discord chat server where there is always an awesome and active conversation and some speculation taking place. Come over to Loot Drop, the official Skullzi merchandise site, where you can get a bullshit capacity meter t-shirt or coffee mug to let everyone know that your bullshit capacity meter is always running at 0%. We also have other t-shirts and cool things there as well. And if you want to have your hand in providing future content and getting access to unique and awesome awards, then consider subscribing to the community on Patreon or joining the channel here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all of these awesome things are down in the description below, and as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when Bethesda misspelled a word in one of their blog posts, so that means that every single freaking game in the future is going to be full of misspelled words, because logic.
just works.